Kiathat, or the tongue of the valley, is the first language I have written for the mythology. In fact, it's the first full-fledged language I've written at all. It has an extensive lexicon, grammatical rules, and a consistent phonology. That said, why was making a language the first thing I did? I wrote Kiathat to make everything easier later. I wanted to name things and people without much trouble, so I followed yikes. Bibleridons. I I can't pronounce that. Anyway, I followed his guide to make a language. I didn't want to use temp names for people and places, ones I'd get attached to, so constructing the language came first. As for the language itself, prepare to be bored. The syntax goes subject, verb, object, just like in English, but there is some variation. When it comes to possession, the possessor goes after the possession. Additionally, the name of the possessor is modified with an "ik" on the end. To make something plural, you add "ri" to the start of a word to indicate a small amount and "ri" for a large amount. Additionally, there is no tense to say when something happened. It has to be inferred through the context of the sentence. The speakers of this language are a tough folk. They're divided into a dozen different kingdoms with smaller principalities and fiefs below them. They are constantly fighting each other, and when they aren't, they're probably fighting outsiders who want to conquer them. While their language does have some minor regional dialects, it's remarkably unified for how disunified the land is. Sometimes they will take the name of an animal and turn it into an adjective, with the affix to say someone is cow-like or urum or urum. You are saying they are good at providing. To say someone is deer-like or warithum, it means they are fast and agile. But to say someone is bear-like or uratum, it means they're strong, courageous, and manly. Calling someone uratum is like saying someone is macho. But these things are... they're things that the society values because they need them to survive. And if there's an R in a word, it can be rolled to indicate emphasis. Uratum becomes uratum when someone is especially manly in some way. And relvet, which means woman, becomes relvet if she's especially womanly. Though what aspect of being a woman is emphasized depends on the context. This is why I made the plural have an R in it to differentiate between a small amount and a great amount. Additionally, I made an alphabet for it. In story, it was originally carved into wood or stone with a chisel, so the letters are meant to be written on either. Eventually they switched to paper and quill, so I adjusted the alphabet to make it easier to write with that. Most folks grow up reading the first kind on wood or stone, if they grow up reading at all, but the two are pretty much mutually intelligible. The number system is 12-based rather than 10-based. Punctuation is from a different language. And yes, I just used align and box tools in Microsoft Paint to make this stuff. But this isn't the end of my language making. I've got 2 more to do. The first is the language of a people group I'll need to make a video about. Kiathat is the dominant language of the mythos' main culture, but this other one is similar to Latin for Europeans, or German was in Eastern Europe, or even how French was for a long time. You want to educate yourself or seem cultured? You'll need to speak this language. It is also the ruling language of an empire which threatens to take over this land, but by no means is that the reason it's so widespread. The other language is just something to add, a little something extra. They're just another people group, and they're in contact with the Kiathat speakers. Whether they are Vikings or peaceful traders, I can't say at this point. This one is more likely to be just a naming language than the others, but I still want to make their names a little unique. And really, the point of this isn't to set some standard for fantasy writing. I just wanted to come up with unique names for my setting and stories without just mashing languages together. I've done that too much, and I'd like to have some justification and meaning for my names. And the Bibliodarian's guide is really easy to follow, even for a guy who only speaks one language. Barely. That said, I'd like to share with you a sample of the language. Nukkia had Rithak, Redor, Vik, Reizat, Unur, Vi, Drev, Hin, Inik, Dul, Zat, Thou, Odhinik, Enkum, Va, Dalvas, Durib, Ibruda, Zat, Vi, Dudzed, Judze, Ridzat, Udloj, Uz, Rihavet, Bak, Nur, Javot, Zabum Numar, Zabum Nar, Zabum Nuar, Zabum Nuar, Zabum Nuar, Zabum Nuar, Hev, Numar, Nak, Aktabum, Vinhovd, Ubstuv, Rimun, Zatum, Bari, Novik, Jelm, Umdul Biom, Javadi Vinaj. I need to work on my acting.